Hi, my name is Bill Novomisle. I am the General Manager responsible for the Process and Technology Consulting Division at KorumLegal, and I'm here to give a quick talk on making sense of the three major movements in contracting technology. So without further any ado, let's dive in. I think that the first problem when we think about contracting technology is that lawyers in general like to talk about contracts, but the business people and the clients that we serve don't actually think about their work in terms of contracts. Because contracts covers everything from a sophisticated merger and acquisition agreement through a procurement agreement through an engagement letter with a law firm, through a sales contract. So what we really have to unpack are what are the types of tools and what are the use cases that they fit in. So one thing that we do know is that commercial contracting is a key area of focus for in-house legal departments. And in fact, per 1 billion US dollars in revenue, you're usually seeing around 2 lawyers or 3 non-lawyers whose only job is to help review and process commercial contracting of some form. So let's start with the 3 types of contracting technology that's out there. So the first one I want to cover is what I'll call dumb automated contract lifecycle. And I don't mean dumb in terms of not intelligent. I mean dumb in terms of it's not using artificial intelligence to drive this. These tools are based on templates, usually created by a questionnaire that is filled out. And the key here is, and what you need to be asking and thinking about with your business is, do you have, either by practice or market power, the ability to impose your first draft onto the counterparty you are negotiating with? As soon as you're in that sphere where you're controlling the first draft, irrespective of whether the contract is negotiated or not negotiated, these sorts of contract automation tools are the realm that you are in. These tools have gotten to the point where you can generate a contract by answering a simple natural language questionnaire that can have all kinds of conditional clauses as well as fill in the blanks. And from there, you can automate both an internal approval and review process, as well as an external counterparty negotiation process, all the way through to e-signature and ultimately filing. The second type of major contracting technology that is out there are what's known as smart contracts, which are contracts that are on the blockchain or on a distributed ledger technology and are oftentimes self-executing contracts. The main thing that you need to understand about smart contracts is that they are neither smart nor a contract. They are not smart in the sense that these are very much so workflow-driven contracts that are simple, that are driven off of simple if-then technology. And technically, a smart contract is not a contract itself. It's a piece of code that is underlying and supporting a contract. But smart contracts or DLT or blockchain-enabled contracts do have some interesting business use in that they can automate certain activities. So smart contracts can automatically release funds from escrow when all of the necessary conditions precedent have been met. And if you're involved in large shipping agreements or transportation or logistics, especially with goods that are equipped with RFID emitters that can track the status, you can set up a smart contract to automatically release funds or take other actions on the basis of goods entering a warehouse or other things like that. So what smart contracts enable is an integration between Internet of Things technology as well as blockchain security with a distributed ledger that is verifiable to allow for certain automated actions to occur. But the contract itself is still a contract. The DLT or blockchain backbone is the added functionality and technology that's layered onto the contract to make it self-executing. Finally, you come to artificial intelligence as it's applied in contract review and negotiation. And mostly what you are seeing here is contract pre-screening technology, where artificial intelligence leveraging natural language processing will be applied to non-standard inputs. So this is when you go to your business and you say, okay, what contracts are you getting where we don't have the market power to impose our first draft? And we're using counterparties paper. In those instances, you can run that contract through an artificial intelligence driven pre-screening tool. It will identify the areas of legal risk that you're most concerned about, flag them, and potentially even triage them according to a risk matrix that you have taught to the AI system to help your lawyers not have to read the whole contract soup to nuts and not have to focus on the particular commercial terms, but instead immediately hone in and focus on the legal risk terms and identify which are the ones that you can live with from a business perspective, which ones you perhaps want to go back and negotiate on. But as you can imagine, these sorts of tools with artificial intelligence have additional applicability, not just in the live ongoing contracting space. They're also particularly useful when you're going and doing due diligence on a company as part of a joint venture or an acquisition. They also have a lot of applications in the information governance space, where you want to identify certain documents within your overall knowledge ecosystem, or when you're doing regulatory reviews. So we see this being employed in force majeure right now as part of COVID response. We're also seeing this happening in the financial services sector with the LIBOR-IBOR reviews that are going on. So there's a lot of applications with AI in large-scale reviews. So what does that mean in terms of these three technologies and how these might intersect in the future? These are just my views on what I think the future of contracting will hold, and I will openly admit that my track record on predictions is less than ideal, so take this with a grain of salt. But my view is distributed ledger technology and blockchain is going to eventually migrate into core business infrastructure. And you're going to stop seeing smart contracts as a separate category. And because blockchain will become as much of the background of business as emails, smart contracting will simply be a tool that will be available in the future whenever it's necessary and it makes sense within the contracting. I think automated contracting with limited to no artificial intelligence is probably going to be about 90+% of all commercial contracting, because businesses are getting much more disciplined on their operations. You've got, your preferred, your opening, your fallback provision, and your absolutely stop provisions in your contracting playbooks and your negotiation playbooks. That's all going to get embedded into these contracting tools, and negotiations will migrate to a platform-based system that will allow real-time cross-collaboration and editing as opposed to the classical volleying of black lines and red lines that you're seeing. Then finally, I think that you're going to see the rise of AI particularly starting with the larger to mid-size firms. But the AI tools are going to move out of the realm of specialized point solutions for due diligence or lease reviews or certain regulatory work, and instead company specified trained AI systems will be used for knowledge management, information government, contractual risk screening, potentially even litigation risk screening, where the AI tool can also monitor the company's communications infrastructure as well as due diligence. And as the tool grows in functionality, it will no longer be considered a legal tool, but in fact will be part of the company's IT infrastructure, with a lot of different stakeholders having hands in it across various corporate centralized functions. So that was my little tour of the three major movements in contracting technology, as well as what I think the future may hold down the road. If you have any questions, contact information is on that slide. Thanks for listening.